All right, peace. So when we left off, the Caucasian man in the middle, Will came. He basically was trying to put the heat on the Caucasian liberal at the end, Max Kellerman, and he's basically going to ask him if he's always in favor of the corporate structure using their power to force people to accept certain progressive movements. And Stephen A., as usual, knowing his place, he's a good boy. Stephen A. Simp, he's raising his hand. He's not normally he barges in, but since he knows his place and he knows that homosexuals and transgenders are above him in the hierarchy in this society, he's basically trying to bow out of this conversation and interject when he feels like he can say something non-threatening.
But what I am asking of you, Max, and I am dead serious here, not trying to fill in too many blanks about what all your political beliefs are you really going to hold this stance no matter the outcome going forward? Are you really going to look at business flexing its money muscle to get the outcome it wants and celebrate that fact?
That's your point.
Hold on, Max. Or only when it advances an opinion that you already hold?
When it advances the protection under the law for all people, yes. I like when business tries to protect that.
So you like...
This guy said when it advances protection under the law for all people. This dude is acting like they're knocking on the door and asking people, are they transgender? And if they say yes, like they're getting their head blown off. All they're being told is you can go to whatever bathroom you want, but you have to go to the bathroom of the gender that was on your birth certificate. And obviously what's implied is assuming that you have not had the surgery yet and the hormonal treatment. That's all they're saying. But see, what the liberals like to do is they like to piggyback off of the so-called civil rights movement. That's how they guilt a lot of you so-called black people into joining up with them. They say, well, we did the same thing during the civil rights movement. Remember when blacks couldn't drink at a certain water fountain and yada, yada, yada. All right. No, the issue during the so-called civil rights movement was that so-called black people were not given the same ability to have the proper schooling and the ability to make a living, earn a living as their so-called Caucasian counterparts. We can go through the list of homosexuals who are at the top, the pinnacle of every industry in America. All right. And nobody is running around trying to subjugate homosexuals or homosexuality. As a matter of fact, and they're constantly trying to attack the so-called black community about being anti-homosexual. I would say that there's no community, so-called community in America that's more pro-homo than the so-called black community. You can't say anything to these black homos or black lesbians, or you're going to have to fight. You might have to kill them. Because the black woman's going to jump in and say, why are you bothering them? What's your problem? All right. The same so-called black women that are suffering from AIDS because they're sleeping with different men that they claim are on the down low. Right? I would say that there's no community that's more quote unquote progressive than the so-called black community. But like I said before, they're the ones constantly getting pawned by having their issues linked up with the so-called homosexual movement. Tricknology.
If business, well, yes, of course, and if business is on the wrong side of history, for example, if it's pro-segregation,
You see what he just did? He pulled the black card. That's what they do whenever they see that they're getting knocked into a corner with the gay issue. Well, let's jump on the black issue, right? This is what happened with so-called blacks. So now they're trying to do it to so-called gays. So now I can cause confusion. I can use misdirection by pulling the black issue and trying to claim that the same thing is being done to homosexuals. No, so-called black people were actually barred from using bathrooms. All right. Nobody is barring a homosexual or a transgender person from using a bathroom. All right. All they're being told is which bathroom that they should go into until they've completed their surgery. But this is, once again, it's the tricknology of the so-called white liberal, the god of most of you black liberals.
Then I'm against big business's influences in that case because I disagree with their opinion. And if business is against segregation, for example, once upon a time, then I am for that business.
What I would ask him, since he claims to be a practicing Jew off camera, what does the Torah say about transgenders? And what does the Torah say about homosexuals? And would you allow a man who decided that he was a woman that morning to go to the bathroom with your daughters? I wonder what he would say then.
Well, let me say this.
Boycotting the place.
Well, let me get back to what you're saying. I am not trying to say that the NCAA or the NBA did not have an impact.
Okay.
What I am saying is that I don't believe that we would have had a different conclusion here had they not gotten involved. That's all I'm trying to say, because when you jump up as a sports league or what have you, you say, well, you know what, we're not going to have our event there because we don't like what the state is doing. I'm saying there are an abundance of people within that state that were opposed to the HB2.
This dude almost said HBCU. The reason why he said that, though, is because he went to Winston-Salem University, which is in North Carolina. That's why this seems to be more of an emotional issue for him. He's spoken in the past about how much he likes North Carolina. But, bro, you got to have a little bit more guts than that. You obviously know what the issue is. But to say that you don't think that the people would not have changed it on their own, that's nonsense. That's unfounded, right? If they were truly against it, the bill would have never passed in the first place.
And so as a result, since they were opposed to it and they sort of sided with the NBA, why were they punished with Charlotte, with the game being relocated from Charlotte to New Orleans, when in fact they agreed with the NBA, and it very well may have ended up being the same result as we're talking about this morning. That was my only point.
I think we might have gotten there, Stephen A. It just might have taken longer.
Okay.
And Max, honestly, your opinion, your position is that you just like it when people agree with you.
That's called being a that's called being a liberal. That's called being a liberal. Since when do liberals actually have? Since when do they actually have to have an argument that holds water? It's just about their feelings, and whenever they agree with something, go for it. Whenever they don't agree with something, you're stupid. You're a hater. You're the black liberals. You're a coon. You're this. You're that. That's just how they operate, right?
You don't care about the process. You don't care about democracy. You don't care about.
They don't care about anything. All they did know, if it goes against their feelings, change the law.
I don't care about putting process over what is right. If there is a minority.
Now, he just said he doesn't care about putting process over what is right. Therefore, he does not believe in democracy. Because what do they call it? They call it the democratic process. Right? The liberal is a walking hypocrisy.
Minority group who has been closeted, persecuted, must be very, very difficult to live as a member of that group. And there is a law that discriminates against them or otherwise makes their life harder.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Yeah, you look like Bing Rames, but you feel like going to a woman's bathroom that morning. That's so difficult, man. Life is so hard for you. God damn. I really feel for you.
In the absence of any evidence that there is some kind of risk posed by them.
That's a lie. Like I said before, there is evidence to point to the fact that homosexuals have a far higher rate of pedophilia because they were the victims of pedophilia. All right, that's a fact. And like I've stated before, let your daughters go to the bathroom with some 6'3" dude named Peaches. Let's see what happens.
Then yes, I am for a business, especially the NBA, because I'm a big NBA fan, using their influence to do the right thing.
What's the right thing? The right thing is how you feel, right? And supposedly Max Kellerman is addicted to some prescription drugs also, allegedly. I believe it's Adderall, allegedly.
Let's leave it there, you guys.
Look at this guy's face. Max Kellerman's face is shaking uncontrollably.
You guys, good conversation, complicated issue. Sorry we don't have more time to discuss, and I'm sure we will be discussing in the future. Will, thank you so much. Appreciate your perspective as always. When we come back, we're going to get back into sports on the court. Alan?
Yeah, we don't need to hear about AI. Anyway. So now we're going to finish out this little series with this show, The Jump. Like I said, this female, another Caucasian Jew, liberal white female, named Rachel Nichols. We're going to see her take on this issue. As usual, like I said before, she likes to be surrounded by two black men, sandwiched by two so-called black men. Probably makes her feel like she's the lady of the plantation. But let's see what she had to say about this issue.
Greg, I do want to address what happened in the North Carolina General Assembly this morning. Legislators approved a bill that would replace the state's anti-gay HB2 law. Now, first, it should be noted that this scramble for a new compromise is designed to appease the NCAA before it awards its next round of tournament sites. That's a reminder of sports leagues taking a stand on social issues it is an effective motivator. But second, just because those who support this new bill say they're repealing the controversial law, that doesn't mean they actually are. Although the new bill drops the rule on transgender bathroom use, it still leaves in place so much as what has already sent both the NCAA.
Now look, it says we don't care, and it has a half man, half woman on the on the little diagram there. And you know that might be the solution. Why don't they just have unisex bathrooms? Because we know that most of these women are liberals anyway. They shouldn't mind, since they don't mind going to the bathroom with a man that thinks he's a woman. They shouldn't mind going to the bathroom with a man who thinks he's a man. Just have a unisex bathroom. That'll solve the problem right there.
NCAA.
And like I said before, they worship the god Pan. Pan is an androgynous deity, meaning he has both male and female parts, as does the god Bacchus. Right? I think I spoke on Bacchus before in regards to the celebration that a lot of the Caribbean brothers and sisters have called the Bacchanal. It comes from the god Bacchus, the god of wine and revelry and orgies. He also is pretty much the same god as Pan. He is a hermaphrodite god, part male, part female, just like the god Pan.
NCAA and the NBA skirting. According to the new bill, no city in North Carolina can pass any laws.
Now look, it says people of faith support the LGBTQ equality. I don't even know what the hell Q. They keep adding another letter on. First it was LGBT. Now they add a Q on there. I guess Q stands for queer. Right? Remember, they call themselves queer. The term queer means strange. And you can see a woman in the crowd looks like a so-called dark-skinned Hispanic, or maybe a so-called black woman, so-called dark-skinned Hispanic woman, indigenous woman, whatever you want to call her. She has a priest collar on. That just goes to show you the level of confusion in most of these so-called religions. Because if you ever read the Bible, you know that the Bible explicitly tells you that a woman cannot teach the Bible. All right. So, you know, it's just a whole bunch of confusion going on here. And it's going to come to a boil very soon.
To protect LGBTQ citizens for at least the next 3.5 years. So for the next 3.5 years, at minimum, if a hotel wants to turn away a lesbian family because they don't like that there's two mommies.
That which has nothing to do with the bill. The bill is about going to the bathroom. It has nothing to do with a hotel turning away, quote unquote, two mommies.
There would still not be any local law allowed that protects that family. If a restaurant wants to sell someone that he can't get served because he's gay, same thing.
What does that have to do with the bathroom bill?
That's lunch counters all over again.
Now see, she just did that again. Didn't I tell you that the so-called white liberal, what they do is they try to assign any little issue that they want to promote is allegedly going on against the quote unquote homosexual or transgender community, quote unquote. They try to align it to the civil rights movement of the 60s, right? That's a way to try to guilt trip people into allowing the LGBTQ quote unquote community to get their way.
Yeah, those are not the values of the NBA or the NCAA. And by the way, the transgender bathroom use law, that goes back to local municipalities. So that issue is not solved either. No one needs sports leagues to legislate politics.
Obviously they do, because you just said that they do. You said that to open your soliloquy, the power of the sports league to socially engineer society.
But this isn't politics. This is a civil rights issue. This is about some of the very basics of human decency. And I certainly hope that the sports leagues who've been so effective in using their voice continue to see it that way.
You see, this is why people are turning against the so-called liberal media, because of nonsense like this. Once again, with the lunch counters, they were telling so-called black people that you were not allowed to eat here. All right? When they walked in, they said, we don't serve your kind here. All the so-called HB2 bill says is that you have to go to a bathroom or the bathroom that's on your birth certificate if you cannot pass for the gender that you claim that you are. That's all it says.
All right, plenty more here on The Jump. Stick around. We'll be back with Scotty, Tracy, and Zach.
Yeah, and you. In an Oreo sandwich, that's your fantasy. But anyway, it's just amazing to me, man, the things that that these people in these so-called liberal media continue to push through sports. And I guarantee you, like I said, she's a so-called white Jew. She herself does not adhere to a lot of those practices, but she wants to teach them to others. All right? Peace.